here for NV Creator.
And his opponent looking to bounce back off after a 2-0 loss to his teammate. For Katowice Gaming, it's Spirit. And more so than just bouncing back from a loss to a teammate, he's looking to do particularly well for his, in front of his home crowd. And I like the way he's kicking things off here. This is going to be, I believe, an engineering bay block. Yeah, he's gonna be a real nuisance with this. And if Creator doesn't check for it, could get a lot of HP up on that engineering bay before there's a response. But it looks like, okay, he will send a probe down. He knows the timing, and he's going to be able to prevent this from getting too out of hand. And of course, that buff to workers, making them more responsive, makes this little micro from Spirit less meaningful. However, Creator actually not paying attention right now. He's microing his worker aggressively, which I think is actually a pretty big mistake right there. I think you want to focus more on making sure your own house is in order than disrupting your opponent.
Yeah, I'll certainly buy that, especially considering with the amount of damage with the amount of HP that was built on that eBay. You can't you can't clean it with a couple probes anymore. Like if it's 25% maybe or something, it's like, okay, maybe I can cancel this zealot. Maybe I could just pull an extra probe. It'll go down quickly enough, whatever. But it got high enough that, yes, the zealot does have to complete to make sure that the natural goes down on any way, shape, or form on time, as the SCV's adding more HP to it, because why the hell not? They're not targeting it. It just delays. Spirit, that's unfortunate. That's not okay. Let him knock that down, please. And is he going to dry it? No, he's going to let it go down at the very end. Cancel last second. Well done there, Spirit.
Yeah, that was extremely well done. That got some great slowdown on his opponent's Nexus. That Nexus is delayed so much more than you want. You can see Creator even getting up to about 500 minerals before he's able to drop the Nexus there. The only thing he now has to be worried about is a potential counterattack from his opponent. And with a Zealot and a Stalker, well, actually, never mind. The Stalker's kind of just looking around for a proxy. And Spirit is the kind of player that would go for one. So I think this is a wise decision. But in this case, sometimes you just kind of got to hedge your bets and say, okay, I need to get across the map and try and do something. And not having that Stalker, go straight across the map is a little bit unfortunate. Meanwhile, Spirit, we talk about the late game. That's a very fast third command center in this matchup.
Especially, yes, in this matchup, right? Because what do you want to say? Maybe 80% of the time, it seems like we see Terrans go for some level of a 6 to 730, 3-1-1, 2-1-1 type of stim timing. Terrans want to establish presence on the map. They want to start to delay the Protoss pretty early, because it feels like the Protoss, they can take their third base quickly with they chrono things up. Without that level of pressure off of a 2-ish base, 2.5 base play, it feels like Terrans, for the most part, they get a little bit too far behind. But if you're Spirit, this is Grespon. This is the longest map in the pool, or one of the longest at 37 seconds. It's a long map. You delayed your opponent's natural for forever. Yeah, you can get away with going 3CC. The punish, economically or by terms of building thing, like in terms of our army units, is going to be just a little delayed. But hey, Creator, he does want to go for that punish, because there are 3 gateways on the way steadfast. 4-gate blink is a fun idea, as the Adept tries to find its way behind the mineral line. It's already gotten 1 worker down. Doesn't seem like it's going to get that much more. And actually, nice zoning out here from Spirit. He's going to knock the Adept down. So that's a one-way trip.
Yes, this is a very interesting setup here from Spirit, because normally with a super fast third command center, we're used to not seeing the ability to build tanks. But Spirit got that quick factory with the Tech Lab. Of course, he got the Cyclone first, but he will be going into tank production now. And he is going to need quite a few tanks to be able to handle this. Now, Grespon is not a great map for 4-gate blink relative to like Dragon Scales or some of the bigger maps, but it's still a totally decent one. Still totally decent. Like and especially if you can get up into the main base, there's no tank maybe on the ramp. There's still a lot of surface area. It's just, we don't think of it as a superstar Blink Stalker map, but it's still a good one.
Which is kind of funny you say that, because again, I was talking to a couple Terrans here before Katowice, and they were saying Grespon's actually a fantastic blink map. Not because there's a big cliff or something, but because of how far away that cliff is from the ramp, right? It means there's a lot more area that the Terran, yeah, sure, maybe it's a little bit closer, but you can go, and It's also because the natural's, again, a little bit further away from the ramp, which means that tanks don't kind of cover that one central area that the Terran is looking to cover quite as well. So you can go in the main base and maybe snipe one tank off, get into the main base. Tanks have to reposition, then you can find the natural. There's a lot more cycling that needs to be done between the two key positions that the Terran can find.
That's a very fair point, and makes a lot of sense. Now, the crucial aspect to this for Spirit, you can see he's got 3 bunkers. He's going to need to be pulling SCVs very quickly. He's already up in workers. Economically, he's super far ahead, but he needs to be on top of this as quickly as possible. We see the blink forward into the main base. Tank is well positioned, but this bunker goes down immediately. Nice War Prism micro here from Creator. Going to be able to save some of these stalkers. And we see a blink forward down to the low part of the main base. And we actually see 4 Adepts warping, and that's a very interesting move here. Not what we're used to seeing, but he's going to try and really strain his opponent's multitasking with this. Oh, cancels the Adepts. Of course, that's... I mean, if you can't shade to the natural, there's not much point. But it kind of delays things a little bit. Stim's about to complete, though. I think Spirit survived the scariest point of this.
Now, Steadfast, there's one thing I want to point out, which is we saw it on the edge of vision, but Spirit saw the Adept shading into his natural, so he preemptively unsieged the tank. Because the thought there was, right, you know, you would shade Adepts on the tank of the natural, you maybe open that position up, maybe get some more workers. So, again, small things. But okay. Oh, this is kind of fun. He's going to try to maybe take advantage of the friendly fire there, but not quite enough. A couple more workers do go down, but Steadfast, you pointed it out. Is Spirit still up in workers against a Protoss player that has a chrono? In fact, Creator's third base, it's only halfway done. So with Stim done, combat shields on the way, how many medevacs do we have? That's the one thing we're missing right now. Do we even have a... We do have the starport.
Yeah, we got a starport, yeah.
Okay, yeah. It just... Oh, it's building Vikings. Okay, that's kind of fun, just to deal with the warp prism that's causing so many problems here for Spirit.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even say so many problems. That's just a nuisance. That's an annoyance that he wants to dislodge it. For now, it hasn't actually done much. Spirit is in a great position in this game. However, this is the big thing that Creator is looking for to try and swing this game back into his favor. He is trying to get a very quick storm. He's putting it in the War Prism. Now, is this going to be to fight the army, or is this going to actually be for a storm drop on a mineral line? He's far enough down economically that he might need to do something like that. Spirit even has the double engineering bay with this. This is an amazing spot for Spirit. War Prism did recall on out, obviously, as we can see that it's back at home. But, I mean, Creator really needs to find something, whether that's a great fight or what, we'll see. Oh, this is cute. A little bit of multi-pronged stalker harassment here. Will actually find a couple of SCVs. Oh, big stim coming in from Spirit. He wants to get the punish on these stalkers. And he gets one of them. He's got to be careful about losing any of these Marines. He's going to be able to get back to the high ground, and the tanks will cover. There was something cute, by the way, at the end of that, where Spirit scanned the army, and his tank actually fired away at a bunch of the stalkers. Wanted to mention that. And that was just a really nice little move that discouraged Creator from getting anything else done. Now, Creator, he's actually going to look for a push here. He's got charge, but he's pushing into 1-1, a bunch of siege tanks, and a ton of stimmed bio. This, I don't know how you get anything done here as Creator. I think he needs to give up this idea, and he's actually already transitioning into double Robo Colossus. So, okay, as long as he doesn't commit into this attack, I think it's okay.
Now, it's kind of funny. I'm looking at this, and I've been trying to watch the supply, right? Because normally when a Protoss player, especially from behind, they go into storm and charge, they fall precipitously down in army supply, and they have to come back with storms. That's kind of the main idea. You have 4 storms. If you hit them, you win the game. If you don't, you very much lose. But I want to give Creator some credit here. He's doing a great job of, first of all, he's up 5 workers now. He's doing a great job of maintaining his supplies. This drop should be dealt with as the stalkers are going to blink on top of things. At medevacs, they're going to probably get away, but some of the Marines will, of course, fall. But Creator's done a great job of just playing the macro game, right? Of getting that 4th base up in time, of recovering this economic disadvantage that he's found. And we didn't see that sharp supply increase that we expect to see in the mid game of a TVP, because that's just how things go. And part of it is, of course, Spirit being greedy, taking his 4th base, double eBay, all that. But now we just have this pretty powerful Protoss army that, well, even with, especially with the Ghost nerf, it's not going to be the easiest thing for Spirit to fight.
it won't be the easiest thing, but I still think Spirit is notably ahead. Look at the upgrades right now. We've got a second Forge coming on in, yes, for Creator, and the Forge upgrades are faster than they used to be. But +1 weapons is finishing, while 2-2 is well along for Spirit here. There is going to be a solid timing where Spirit has 2-2 versus 1-0, a 3 upgrade advantage. It won't be that big if we see a lot of diligent chrono boost usage, but that's where Creator has cut his corners here. Is he has given those upgrades, well, kind of let those upgrades fall behind a little bit in order to procure a lot of supply. Now he has those disruptors, but just like the Ghost nerf, they've also been nerfed. So I mean, this is an army that's very susceptible to EMP. You get EMP'd on the disruptors, they get targeted down. Oh, hang on, we've got actually a drop in the main base. And it's going to find a few probes, and we'll even scout the Dark Shrine. This is kind of nice, but that Dark Shrine, it can still warp in DTs defensively, and that's going to be pretty handy. A nice little defense here.
They're going to get a couple.
Spirit, though, gets the most out of it, gets a couple of Stalkers.
But this is nice, though, forcing a lot of Creator's army back to the main base. So Creator is going to, he's going to stay on 4 bases, but he's not going to really start to pull ahead too drastically against the Terran. He's taking the 12 o'clock base now, and Creator, he's trying to move on the map, trying to intercept this, but Spirit just a little bit too quick. But Steadfast, we can talk all we want about this mid-game play. Spirit doesn't want to play there. He's got his 5th base on the way. He's got his fusion core already done. Enhanced ballistics on the way. +1 air halfway done. His upgrades are going to complete. This is a Spirit that is doing the thing that almost every other Terran hates. He's just come, by hook or by crook, he's putting us into the late game. He's just putting us as that position where actually Protoss, they hate to play, right? Against Mass Liberator, when you have to transition back into gateway play, disruptors can't do the job. It's really, you play this cost ineffective style, but Spirit's economy means that cost ineffective style is not really going to work out as Zealots. They're going to try to find their way in, but EMPs do a great job. Tanks now firing away, but it's only one of them for the moment. So now there's the second one on the high ground. The Zealots run forward, but despite this being a good upgrade timing for, look at the supply. He's down 30 supply all of a sudden. Creator's found his way on the right side, sure, but Spirit's in the middle of the map. He's found the 3rd base. DTs are going to get warped in defensively, but EMPs find that one. Those are massive storms, though, and suddenly the supply is equalized because Steadfast, we believe in some stormy weather.
Oh my God, were some massive storms right here. That just obliterated the army of Spirit. Now he is looking to trade that supply out. As you can see, he's adding on Liberators, but I don't think he wanted to trade that much out. Not for what he just lost. I still think I favor Spirit's position in this game a little bit, but that was a really nice cleanup there for Creator. Now, the reason that I like Spirit's position is the tech. It is that Liberator transition. And what do we have from Creator? Ooh. Actually, oh well, we've got him getting Liberator harassed a little bit. We've got the double Stargate transition, but it is not quick. It is not fast. And we're seeing Phoenixes hold that thought, big blink forward, nice EMPs on the disruptors. But he doesn't target fire with the tanks. Tank does go down. That's all the disruptors having used their shots. Spirit, actually, hang on. He has overstimmed massively. He's got literally 0 medevacs.
Yeah, and especially with 5 High Templar on the map, I think the majority of them are in the War Prism. Yeah. So that while the EMPs were good, they didn't get the High Templar, and that means Spirit does have to back up. You would think that realizing that he has no medevacs, he would build some. But no, it's all on those Liberators 5 at a time. And while mech against Protoss, for the most part, it's not really a thing, we're moving into this mech-ish idea once again. Liberator goes instead of tank goes fine, but it doesn't really matter. The stimmable units are going to start to matter less and less as this game goes on. Although, as you point out, we're missing armor. It's all going to be about the Ghost and the Liberators. The bio, their job is to be replaced, right? Much like kind of a late game TVP when we talk about the Marine count. Their job is to buffer, to do damage, and to be replaced. While you keep the Liberators and the Ghosts, those key power units, they have to stay alive.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of just very suddenly now hating the position for Spirit a little bit because he's refused to rebuild those medevacs. He's about to have 4 popping back out. He added on another starport before he even went for this. Oh, look at this storm drop on Liberators. It is pretty cute. With 2 of them bunched up, he's able to kill none of them, so that's kind of irrelevant. 12 probes do fall to just the constant Liberator harass here from Spirit. And these are cheaper Liberators than they were before, 25 gas cheaper. But wait, how did these Marines even get across the map? They're gonna kill an Oracle? What? That Oracle is obviously used for Revelation, so that's actually a really high value pick off there. Meanwhile, now 21 probes have fallen. Creator actually losing a lot of workers. But
I mean,
I feel like Spirit, if you're not going for like BCs or something here, with how passively he's playing, like, I just don't know. Oh, nice snipe.
It's kind of funny when you look at this too. What I like about this, and when we see stylistic differences really start to matter, is Spirit knew this game was going late game a lot earlier than Creator did, so he got himself into it a little bit more. So those storms are just really not going to land. Knocking down some Liberators, sure, but the bio stays alive, and now here we go. Spirit tries to re-engage once again. High Templars started to fall. Disruptors have shot most of their shots. So this position now for Spirit is a little bit terrifying. But Creator, he's got multiple avenues that he can try to attack into. His DTs are going to try to find their way, but the repair is in time. On the right side, here comes Delis moving forward. Disruptor shots are going to force Spirit out for just a moment. But again, you re-engage. Disruptor on the right side. That's a little bit better. That Disruptor's going to stay alive. But here we go. The re-engagement coming in from Spirit, where the storms will deny him. So Spirit, again, trying to find something, and he is trading out well. But he does feel like he's going to have to give this position up. He's lost most of his Liberators, and that's where the DTs coming in from the backside are going to matter, except they're trying to kill a base, and that is not a planetary. Spirit will lose the north side.
That he will. I wasn't a big fan of Creator taking the engagement up the ramp there into the Liberators, but like you said, once the Liberators were gone, it became totally fine for him to take the fight. Now, attacking into a planetary here feels a little bit iffy. Ooh, Disruptor does get an okay connection. It's doing some decent work. The planetary is not going to die, not anytime soon. And yeah, that was a massive overcommitment from Creator after a pretty nice, 45 seconds to a minute for him. He kind of just boggles it a little bit. Very big overcommitment. The Tempest count is starting to grow, but we haven't seen a rebuild on the Oracle, I don't believe. No, he does have an Oracle somewhere. Is it with the army? No, not yet.
Here it is.
Gotta be a little bit careful here. Oh, that's a nice storm on the front line. There's that Revelation on these Liberators. And really good usage of the High Templar. Oh, this is actually some great positioning from Creator.
That is really nice. And the problem is the Observer's right there. That's not something that has been scouted. That's not something that Spirit has reacted to. As big feedback storms goes forward here, Spirit trying to take an opportunity. But the Disruptors in this matchup, their job is not to kill. Their job is to zone. But now Vikings get a good shot off. Oracles go down. Tempests go down. And that will relieve some of the pressure that Spirit has been under. But you're right, that was a scary position from a Creator right there, just knocking off Marine after Marine after Marine, taking advantage of the massive range of those Tempests and just the splash units underneath that make it so hard for Spirit to engage. And now Creator has unlocked a base that it felt like it was going to be very hard for him to take. That 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock base on the north side, well, Spirit is not really going to be focusing on that position for a while because of where Creator is playing. Nuke's going to try to go down, though, and is Creator going to find this?
I think he will.
There we go.
Looks, okay. He does see the red dot. Oh, the 1-4 probe. Oh. Weird little attack on the bottom side. I thought this was going to be like a squad of Blink DTs or something, but it was like 7 Stalkers, a DT, an Archon, and a Zealot or something. Very weird setup, but here, main fight coming on in. A lot of splash damage. Oh, those are some nice storms to start things off, but EMPs blanket the rest of the army. And now, actually, Spirit has got this Creator on the run. He doesn't target down the Disruptor, just elects to push, to split away against it, but he will still find a good number of the Tempest. However, it's going to cost him a lot of Vikings to do so.
Steadfast, there are always 2 fights against the Terran. There's when you do your stuff, and that's when the Terran re-engages afterwards. That was a great initial fight for Creator, but he didn't get quite enough at the end of the day to prevent the re-engages. This one Ghost, yeah, the nuke didn't work, but it's going to kill everything else. 17 probes have gone down. 7 or 8 of them at the hands of this Ghost that's just 2-shotting things. But yeah, so you take that fight, it looks really good. Terran re-engages, they stem, and suddenly, I don't know if that was cost-effective, cost-ineffective. It looks like it's just about equal. But considering how that started, that did feel like something that should have been very much in Creator's favor. And Liberator just killed a Phoenix. That's kind of not how we expect that one to go.
No, but it's the +2 air weapons.
Yeah, there we go.
So good job on the unsiege there, and that's going to force this Tempest to come over here. Unfortunately, he doesn't put this in position close enough to get any additional probes, but still nice work. Meanwhile, we finally have an Observer here.
Oh, get it!
He wants to snipe the Observer.
Oh,
just barely gets the save. Ooh, Blink DT's on the bottom side. Spirit with the repair. Is it going to be enough? It's so close.
Yeah, he's got it.
Oh, he just barely saves it.
And Steadfast, that's a repair against DTs that were buffed by 0.04 seconds on their blink disable timing. So, man, what it doesn't make a difference. It doesn't matter at all. But anyways, stims forward, gets a cannon, force back, and hey, those 2 DTs that survived, they will now sacrifice their lives. But they got a Marine steadfast. They got a Marine.
Now I'm curious what Spirit's next move is here. He's on 6 bases. He tried to take this base a while ago. It got denied very early on. There are still, a few bases that haven't been taken yet on this map. Is he going to transition a little bit further, or is he just going to keep playing this kind of, I guess, slow siege setup? As I say that, he moves forward onto the top side and will find Creator very out of position. Going to kill a good number of probes and gets a base. So that's, well, that kind of answers the question, is he's going to knock out one of his opponent's bases, but can he hold his own base on the bottom side?
Oh, we're going to have to find that out as here comes the army moving forward. Tank doing what it can, but the Disruptors are going to knock down some of the SCVs trying to repair. But Disruptors are starting to fall. This repair is still really nice, and it's buying so much time here for Spirit to try to react, to instead actually drop into the main base, because, well, it's turned into a bit of a base trade, and Spirit actually does not even lose the base on the bottom side. It does not go down because Creator has to respond. Zoning nuke in the naturals. Disruptors trying to find their way on the high ground. Wait, the recall steadfast. We got to pay attention to this as well. Does the nuke go down? The army running just barely away. So Creator is not going to be able to keep his main base alive, but at the very least, he does not suffer from that nuke, even if things are depowered. And Spirit, oh, Disruptor shot. No, okay, he's going to target that down. Spirit with an incredible move here. He keeps his base alive. He knocks down so much of the tech. Disruptor shots, they're not going to get in range in time. Creator cannot find his way onto the high ground right now. He's trying so desperately to find his way up, but Steadfast, the damage has been done. Creator's lost the base. He's lost so much of his tech. He's going to lose another base in the third. And Spirit keeps this alive. What a move, but those storms, though, are massive. Again, he just moves out. It's a hit and run play, and Spirit is just massive in this game right now.
Yeah, he has put himself so far ahead off of that move. That was a great move into the main base. He gets about as much as he could reasonably. Oh, even nice setup here on the high ground. Even though Creator gets out of there, that's still like a, hey, just so you know, this army is still a big threat. You got to respect it. That was so well done from Spirit. He sets up that nuke. He really maximizes the damage in the main base and gets out just before Creator can really bring enough force to bear. That was such an excellent move from Spirit. And now he'll re-engage back into the main base. Recall's on cooldown. He's going to knock out even more tech. And this base is almost empty at this point. How many gates do we have? We got 9 gates. Well, it could potentially very soon be 6.
Yeah, that's not great. And I love what he's doing just with the one ghost on the high ground, trying to make sure that nothing returns. But Creator's going to try to trade a base for base, but Liberator's going to siege up everything.
Oh my
Steadfast,
God.
There's a one-way access to this. Creator can find his way in, but this is Hotel California. You can never leave. Even with the Stalkers here, they're trying to find... These are +2 Liberators. They're going to kill so much of this army, even as Creator's trying to find something. The main base nexus is going down. You talk about gateways. It's now 7. I think some of the natural may still be delayed. Liberator's trying to siege up here. Creator comes in from the other side. Spirit, though, he's got the flank. Disruptors, they're starting to fall. It's a last-ditch effort coming in from Creator, trying to knock the base down. But the Liberators, they stand strong. The Planetary's going to try to do what it can, and it will finally go down. But Steadfast, there's like 2 Disruptors in this army right now. They can't do anything. Okay, I guess one's going to survive. But still, Spirit, in the span of a minute, he pulls massively ahead. He takes game 1. What a late game.
That was immaculate from Spirit. That was so good. It's funny because like right before he started making all these amazing moves, I was like, oh my God, he might die right this moment. He was about to, he had like so much bio that was, autumn colors, orange and yellow and red. And no medevacs on the field against an opponent that had a lot of storm, a lot of potential. But then he builds those medevacs. He starts making moves with the Liberators, and he just does not look back. A great game number 1 and a really nice bounce back after that first series loss for Spirit.
Yeah. But on the flip side, we want to start tracking narratives here. There's been a lot of conversation about how... the patch really helps Zergs, and Protoss is rough against that. It's been pretty fair in PvZ. Problem is, though, it seems like this the patch is... I'm not sure that this game it really has much of any impact on the balance because of where the balance changes were. In fact, technically, I think the Protoss is buffed a little bit in the late game, but it's still, you're watching the win rates of TVP in this tournament. It's looking pretty good for the Terrans right now.
Yeah, I think TVP it's looking like a pretty tough matchup right now for these players. Now it is, I wouldn't say, so there's like a lot of factors. The Liberator was buffed, obviously. It is now a little bit cheaper. EMP was buffed early, but it's weaker later. There's, Ravens are still good for harass, but they're easier to clean up with the auto turrets. Interference matrices don't last as long. Like, there's a slew of changings. Obviously, the battery overcharge change. Funnily enough, a lot of the pro players are saying, like, I don't actually feel that bad about that one. Like, but it is looking a little tough right now for some of the Protosses.
And again, though, I think we can make that argument for like how Cure plays or how Maru's going to play against Classic Beyond. Like these early game pushes. Yeah, those are terrifying. I think that is where we really see the impact of the changes. But late game, yeah, okay, yes. Disruptors are nerfed a little bit, but so too are the Ghosts. They're not as powerful in the late game. We saw some massive storms. I think we attribute this more than anything. And I talked about this a little in the game. Spirit knew the game was going late before Creator did. We saw that. He got the Fusion Core before he even had 3-3. He was starting to mass expand. And when you have early access to the game state you're trying to get to, that means your opponent is constantly... I mean, look, he built a Phoenix to try to deal with the Liberator play. He reactively built a bunch of starports to try to build these Tempests far after he knew what was happening. So, or like after there were already several Liberators with extended range on the map. So that's a matter of experience, right? That is a matter of being forced to play a style or play in a region of the game that you don't want to play.
Yeah. And I mean, Spirit was great with his expansions. He expanded a lot. He was very quick to respond to the Blink DTs multiple times. He made some really good moves, but Creator's going to have to go back to the drawing board a little bit. The other thing we didn't mention, the 4-gate Blink Stalker really put him behind. It was a 3cc versus a 4-gate Blink Stalker that barely did anything. Like, Spirit was so far ahead going into the mid and early stages of the late game.
No, he really was. But folks, we're going to get into our second map of this series. It's the biggest map in the pool. It's massive. In fact, it's the map that I expected to see every Terran ban against Protoss players, at least for every Terran I talk to. Folks, Altitude, map 2, let's see what happens. In the upper right, folks, in the blue, he had an incredible late game in that first one. Let's see if he can make it too. It's Spirit.
And his opponent, spawning down in the bottom left for Team NV. Looking to bounce back, it is Creator. Now, the thing about Altitude, more so than anything, is if Spirit tries to go for that Mass Liberator again, he is going to have a ludicrous amount of space to cover. There are lots of ramps into the bases, but there's a lot of room to maneuver around this, and I think we could see a lot of play around that kind of thing. So I certainly don't want to see Spirit do it. I don't think we'll see Spirit trying for this once again.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that is very much kind of a game one thing. You establish you establish a couple different ideas on the map, right? You establish how you want to play, you set tempo, you set expectations of your opponent, and then you back up from that a little bit. Say, you go what Cure did, right? You go Proxy Marauder, Concussive Shells game 1. Okay, you establish that you're willing to be aggressive. Your opponent has to react to that. Play a little safer, and then you play greedy, and it's fine. Same deal if Spirit goes and plays super greedy. Suddenly, we're going to have to see maybe Creator play a little bit greedier to match that, and that's when Spirit can maybe find an opening.
Yeah, and to be honest, I wouldn't mind actually seeing Spirit go for the fast third CC once again on this map, mostly because this is a map that's really clunky to try and do anything like a 4-gate Blink Stalker play. Yeah, we'll see if that's what it's going to be. But for now, we are going to see a quick Stargate out of Creator, and that makes sense. I mean, Stargate, good building, lets you build oracles, lets you build phoenixes. They're both mighty units in the early game. Oh, bit of a juke attempt. Oh my God! Spirit breaks his ankles.
And now he's into the main base, and there's an adept here, so it's going to be more of a scouting mission than anything else. But
he gets
sees
the
star.
scout.
Yeah, he sees the Stargate, and that is probably the biggest thing. Maybe he's going to get a probe on the way out. KDA charge drops the adepts on his head, and well, you know what? Sometimes you break some ankles, and sometimes those broken ankles break your own ankles, and that's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, it's it do be how that works. Now we are going to be seeing it is going to be a Phoenix opener, and I mean that's the one thing Creator Spirit doesn't get to know right away. Mm-hmm. So, you know, the difference between one Oracle straight into a very quick 3-gate Blink Stalker play as a follow-up, which was what we were seeing Zest tinkering with going into Katowice and then never became a thing, versus something like Phoenix Charge Lot, or in this case, Phoenix Colossus. The responses are pretty different. But Spirit says, well, you know what I like? I like SCVs. I like economy. I'm going to get that.
Why play long game when short game, or why play short game when long game do trick?
Yeah.
But for now, Cyclone's going to find the Adept, and Adept's not going to be able to complete. Yeah, it's going to cancel the Shade, but it's a bit of a bait out because the Phoenix here, they're going to find things. Marines now find their way on the low ground. This is dangerous now for Spirit. Looks like he's going to be okay. The Marines are going to be able to ward things off. But one thing we should talk about, Steadfast, when we talk about this early game Phoenix play, Cyclones have been pretty heavily buffed against the Phoenix, right? Because they have that additional lock-on range against air units in particular. So that's why we see Spirit with 2 Adepts before he moves on into tank play or whatever he wants to go for. They're so much more powerful, and it shuts down a lot of the pressure that Creator may look to put on the map with these Phoenix.
Yeah. Obviously, we aren't going to see it here, but something that I have seen, like Kellezer was tinkering around with it, and it's actually surprisingly good, even in small numbers if you go for it. Megfield can actually be good just as a part of a normal build, because against Phoenixes, you go from killing them in 9 ticks to 6. You're not going to see that here. Obviously, we can tell that because he's already switched out of it. But it is something that there was a part of me that was just really hoping he was going to go up to like 3, 4, even 5 Cyclones, do maybe a cheeky little push, and try and go from there. But nah, it's just gonna be 2 Cyclones, 2 Vikings to ward this away. And okay, Creator sees, what did he see? Did he see both NG bays? I don't think so. No, he only sees the one. So he doesn't realize that Spirit is once again being so greedy.
This is actually ludicrously fast for a third base, especially, again, in this matchup where the Terran, more than anything else, they want to be aggressive. This was 3rd CC before the extra 2 barracks, so it's not even 6 minutes. Spirit's sitting here on 40, 50 SCVs. His third base already on location. But Steadfast, you know, we've been talking about the Phoenix thing a little bit, but I guess the final point on the early game part of this Phoenix that I want to point out, I really like this idea specifically against how Creator or how Spirit plays. You know he's not going to be super aggressive. You know he's not going to hit you with a 6-7 minute timing when he can hit you with a 30-minute timing instead. So those things that Phoenix hate, you know, 3 racks. That's really the big one. We're not going to see Spirit do that, especially not on altitude. So given the map and everything else, Stargate is technically the best way to play, right? It just gives you so much more freedom and flexibility. You just can't always afford to do that because you are worried about Terran pressure. If you're not worried about it, this is it's just an extremely flexible and just player-specific opening that Creator has gone for.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. I think part of what makes Stargate openers so good, though, and it depends a lot on stylistic options for players. We saw Hearthstone utilizing a lot. Showtime loves it a lot. Oracles. They love Revelation for Oracles. Ooh, Stim in combat feels not quite done in time. Well, Stim specifically to intercept. But you can see a good angle there from Spirit. He was really looking for a pickoff. Meanwhile, something neat that happens here. Spirit had a Liberator ready to go. He saw the Phoenixes and he assumed that was all of them, but I didn't get a chance to mention it. Creator had put a Phoenix in the top left to spot this, so just really lends to that idea that Creator is such a great player at, you know, kind of army splitting and understanding where he needs to be. Meanwhile, We do see the Observer spot this army rotating to the left side. These Colossus do not have extended thermal range just yet, but +1/+1 is not yet done, and we're going to see a nice little defense here from Creator. Finds a couple of the Cyclones, shoves his opponent back. I'm thinking, I'm liking the way Creator is playing so far in game number 2.
The one thing I do want to point out here is we're seeing Spirit go into Vikings very quickly. You know, normally most Terrans, they'd go for 6 medevacks and then they start Viking production. If they're beyond, they just never get Vikings. But Spirit's on 4 Vikings. He's got 2 more on the way. He only has 2 medevacks. And this, I guess, seems to be a trend where, remember last game? He had literally no medevacs 12 minutes in because he just stopped making them. Seems to be the way he wants to go here. And I don't know whether these Vikings are going to enable some sort of push, but it's the 4th base on the way. It seems like he's going 2 Starport Viking. That's a throwback.
It is, but it is something that we're seeing a lot more of because of that buff to the damage point. The Vikings are so much more effective at dealing with Colossus. However, Creator, he has gone for a very quick transition into 2-1 upgrades, and his storm timing is going to be done, I think, in time for a big push that would revolve around Vikings. There is a Ghost Academy done, but we saw that Creator was able to utilize the War Prism Micro and get the High Templar to have some effective storms. And when you think about things that Vikings don't like, well, I gotta say, bad weather is really high up on that list.
Steadfast, you know, there's one thing the Vikings do like, it's Warp Prism. So Creator's, he got great storms that previous game, sure, but that was not a high Viking count until very late in that game. It's going to be a lot harder now for Creator to be able to get his High Templar into a position with the Warp Prism where he can actually make use of that storm before the EMPs go down. So yeah, you know, he stormed well, but it's going to be a lot harder for that to happen, which now means that the buff to Ghost, because that is, the EMP changes a buff and nerf at different stages of the game. At this stage of the game, it is a buff. If Creator or Spirit decides to move out on it, that's going to work out pretty well. But instead, it's not going to be a move out from Spirit. He's getting his 5th base on the way.
Oh.
And 2 Zealots are going to warp into the main.
Yeah, he didn't have the free supply.
Okay, he's going to snipe one of them down. Now here comes the rest of it. Vikings are going to arrive. This Warp Prism may not even get that last Zealot out. Okay, there it goes. But hey, nice target fire there on the reactors, making it so medevacs are actually going to be the thing. They can't come out in the numbers that Spirit would like for just a little bit, but not a lot of worker damage. So at the end of the day, it forces Spirit back, but Spirit wasn't really trying to be active on the map anyways.
Oh.
Those 2 Zealots, though, they need to be dealt with there, Spirit.
Oh.
You don't want that.
Yeah, it's actually going to find an additional SCV, a Marine, and most importantly, it got a Ghost that had gotten pinned up against that armory in the refinery. That is,
and
that's a really nice value couple of Zealots.
It is. The other thing we got to point out, we've been talking a lot about how players have been really playing around with body blocks over the course of this tournament. Like, it's been super cool to watch. But unfortunately, Spirit kind of body blocked his own Ghost in there. There was the Marine in the corner and didn't allow them out. Despite that, I mean, look at how many bases Spirit has right now. He's got the bottom 4. He's got his 3rd. He's got taking his 6th as well. Extra command centers. Again, it's a game where Spirit has entered the late game and Creator's still kind of in the mid game.
Yeah, a little bit. I really do like when players, I mean, especially somebody like Spirit, who is such a fan of the late game. By the way, nice spot on these Zealots. I'm not sure if he just was in position or he saw it was something. Does scan for the late game transition. He's looking to see, hey, do you have Stargates? But he is getting up into that very fast. +2, nice Liberator, or pardon me, Widowmine. Nope, Disruptor shot, 3rd time's the charm. Disruptor shot on that little army, but we've got an attack on the right side, but there are 2 Colossus. A nice couple of storms gonna help Creator hold this position very effectively. Battery overcharge as well. This is an easy hold here now for Creator, and he just knocks out this base on the top side. Man, we talk about instances of, you know, a good couple of 45 seconds. That was one of the best 30-second intervals that you can have in a late game TVP like this.
Oh, and look at this as well. We saw Spirit try to EMP the Phoenix to make sure he could survive that. He missed the EMP. The Phoenix still had plenty of energy. Massive storm there on the Vikings as they try to split run forward, but he's just running out of anti-air. So yeah, the storms were great, and there's going to be another one. It's a storm actually on Creator's own army. On the left side, though, here come the Stalkers. Colossus are not going to join this fight. Liberators now, they siege up on the right side. You're talking about a good 45 seconds, Steadfast. It's now turning the other way. Supplies starting to fall. Army moving into Liberator range, extended Liberator range, +2 Liberator range. and they're just getting everything. Spirit now splitting on the right side. The Vikings are going to try to land. How much is he going to get here? The rally coming in from the Terran. It's on the Terran side of the map. Immortals, though, they're doing what they can here. They're knocking down so many of these Marauders, but it's the Liberators draining justice from above in the sky that make this fight so much better for Spirit than he had any right to have it.
Man, that fight felt like, you know, when you're... Well, actually, hold that thought. It's still going. There is one high Templar that does have energy for a storm. Ooh, nice disruptors there. Knock out the bunker. Oh, he doesn't know about this 3 o'clock base. This was a free base kill. It was so free. He could have found it absolutely no hassle, no muss, no fuss, but he did not check for it, and he doesn't know it's there. That could actually end up completely turning this game around. I think overall, this worked out well for Creator because he reset his opponent's Liberator count. As I say that, it's back up to 7 already. Huge EMPs on the Stalkers. Couple of Liberators. Oh, well, one of them will get sniped off. Not that many, though. There is a Stalker now on the right side, so he's figured this out. But what I was going to say is that engagement felt a little bit like, you know that thing in movies where they're like, all right, we're going to play baseball. I'm going to pick first. And then they put their hand on the bat, and it's like, it's a ladder of the hands on the hands on the hands on the hands. It felt like that for that engagement where like it swung back in terms of momentum like 4 times about who was having a better fight there.
Yeah, and
just
you're right.
Such a disjointed, weird fight.
Yeah, and you're right. It is a fight that did favor Creator, but it's a fight that should have been a dominant fight for Creator, and all of a sudden it got a little bit better. And now, yeah, that 4th base, we talked about a free base kill. It's now a planetary. Ooh. Liberators are going to siege up on the Disruptors. Once again, Spirit splits out massively on this one. 2 Liberators are still there. Concussive shells slowing the Stalkers as they try to retreat. And meanwhile, on the other side, we got 11 workers going down. Liberator harassed on both sides, but there's not a free spot here. Sorry, Spirit. That Liberator is, in fact, going to go down. Base on the left side is going to be denied for just a little bit. And if we look at resources lost here, somehow, it's kind of funny. We see Creator playing this style that is very much about trade. You don't trade as cost effectively, but you just tend to have more bases. And Spirit's lost more. Like this is a Creator playing a low-tech style that is actually trading more cost effectively, which is only going to favor him as the game goes later. But for now, getting up that ramp's a little hard.
Yeah, it's not easy. Well, the part of the reason for that is that, the Liberators are in siege. That's going to let him right up the ramp. A couple of Stalkers going the bad route here. But this will still be a dead orbital command. Ooh, the Disruptor barely getting taken out by the Liberators. Creator, it feels like some of the engagements he's taking here, he's not necessarily prioritizing the right things. So when he finds his opponent out of position, instead of like trying to outmaneuver, he's picking fights. Now in this case, he finds his opponent super out of position, gets all the Liberators. That's what we're looking for right there from Creator, and he takes a pretty huge army supply lead. Now there is an attack coming in on the other side. It has knocked out, I believe it knocked out the base already. It's probably going to get another one, but DTs and Zealots killing off the 12 o'clock base, and I think Creator is running away with this game. However, he still needs to knock out that 3 o'clock base at some point.
And Steadfast, big thing here. There are only 2 orbitals left on the map, only 2 scans at a time, really. So these DTs, the Disruptor position is going to be so strong. Scan gets dropped here. DTs are starting to go down. Disruptor as well, but Steadfast, Colossus has joined the fray, and Spirit had some great movements in this game, but Creator just outpositioned him over and over and over again. And yes, don't base trade a Terran, but there's no base for Spirit to trade anymore. He's got his natural, he's got that pocket 3 o'clock base you were talking about, but Creator is in it's just such a much better position, doubling the army supply, doubling the economy. These three medevacs are not going to swing this game.
No, I mean, this Colossus alone is already gonna slow this down so much, getting a ton of damage from afar. And of course, the DTs are gonna slow this down as well. I was going to say, Creator, at a certain point, though, you gotta just kill the base. And finally, as he does so, Spirit will tap out. Great stuff from Creator right there. But I mentioned it, even though the Liberators looked pretty effective, I would say far more effective than I expected them to, I really don't think this was the map for Liberators. This is like such a wide open map. And you could see that as, Spirit went up to his 5th base, eventually his 6th base, he just didn't have enough stuff to cover. And it wasn't just about the chokes, because you can cover the chokes, but trying to reposition your army, it's going so far, and it's a really set piece army. So Creator does a good job against Spirit there. It's well done.
Oh, well, we've had, I mean, I think these are two of the best games that we personally have had on the B Stream to cast. I think so. I think that's kind of hitting that mark. And Steadfast, you know what? We talked about this yesterday, but one of the reasons I'm so excited about Katowice are the new maps, and specifically the map we're going to go into in Game 3. New Humanity. It's a new base layout. We don't get it all that often. It has so many different ways to play the game. You have the rocks in the middle. I am so excited to see what the players are going to show us in this game because, again, this is the most exciting map in the pool, and it's one that, I don't know. I actually don't know who this favors. Like how we've seen this game going on, there are ways to go late. There are certainly tons of attack patterns. There's a decent ramp into the main base that you can try to blink into. I can really see this going both ways.
Yeah, I think. Oh man, there's some positions where Liberators are just going to be so strong. That hallway outside of the like line third base, it is really good for Liberators. But there's also a lot of the map. It's a big map, and if you're using them aggressively, that's great. But if you're trying to use them defensively, the way Spirit has been doing a lot, I don't know. We'll see. But it seems like Spirit is really dying on the hill of the Mass Liberator in the late game.
I mean, and realistically, he had a good shot to win on that hill, but getting caught out of position once is the problem. And Steadfast, I guess the other thing we got to point out in this matchup, not necessarily these players, but this matchup. We've already had one of the best games of the year on Neo Humanity. Beyond versus Hero on the Red Cross Cup finals was just this incredible game of tug of war. And yes, these players play stylistically differently, but we've already gotten some just absolutely incredible games on the map in the matchup. So that might give us maybe some nice premonitions as we find our way into Game 3. In the bottom right, folks, in the blue, he took Game 1, but fell on his own sword in the second one. It is Spirit.
And his opponent spawning up the top left for Team NV. Striking back very cleanly, it is Creator. And we've got something pretty darn weird.
Yep.
We've got a proxy barracks in a position that is super far away. This actually has me wondering if Spirit's going to proxy more than just the one barracks. If he might proxy, like, you know, the factory and maybe even the starport. He did that in his qualifying match attempt versus Zaun, I believe. And I don't remember if he won that game. I could be crossing my wires. There was a lot of games yesterday, and it was like 12 hours of games. But I think we might just see that getting proxied. Meanwhile, Gateway and Cybercore at the front. So if it does end up being some kind of weird push, it could be a very strange scenario. I think, though, this is just going to be one Marine into Reactor, and I think it's going to be perma-cloaked Widowmine drops.
Huh. I mean, we do have to point out, of course, that there we go. The Reactor goes down. This is a double gas opening from Spirit as well, which has unlocked the pressure into this. I wouldn't also be surprised to see some sort of Hellion play, but I guess that might be single gas. So regardless, yeah, it's a lot of pressure coming in. And it's kind of funny. You talk about that cloaked Widowmine play. First of all, Creator's going to get the scout. He sees double gas. He sees there's no natural. I do like the series planning from Spirit, though. You just pull the game into the late game, 2 games in a row, and then you go for something like this. Unfortunately for him, Creator's going to find it before it's ready.
Yeah, I don't think I do like the series planning that much in this particular instance. Oh, he was about to get blocked. Now he has to build Marines. Oh, this is terrible for Spirit here. He wanted to switch this off. This Zealot could not have been better timed. It's probably going to deny this starport. This build has fallen apart. Actually, this might be game.
Yeah.
This is bad enough that it might just be game over. Actually, I am like becoming increasingly more sure that it's going to be game over, because now that, yeah, this Widowmine's going to go off on the Zealot. Zealot's already achieved exactly what it needed to. Second Stalker shows up. Spirit's production is camped. We've got a proxy gateway on the other side of the map. I think this game is about to be over.
Oh man, I love the response there from Creator as well. Not content to let this game go late, because let's be real, That's Spirit's wheelhouse. Widowmine's going to try to burn. It's only 2 Stalkers, so the Widowmine will be able to camp out a little bit and deny some of this. Some more Marines will start to arrive, but we're going to see the reactor get killed. And oh, Kratos find a spot. It's not covered by the Widowmine. Yep. That's it. Oh, no.